Hello, dear friends. Now look, I know the beginning of this video is very silly. And silly in the regards that you half the time can't see my head in it. And I apologize greatly for that, but I do talk about some fun little things, just me putzing around the cottage and such. And so I hope that you'll stick around, and I'll try to remember next time that I need to make sure that my entire head and body is in the video. But I just wanted to let you know that, and you might want to skip to the timestamps at the bottom if you want to skip that part of the video and just go to the one where I'm talking about the lifestyle and such. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, okay? All right, I'll talk to you soon. Ciao. Good morning, dear friends, mermaid junkies. I'm not sure if you can actually see me in this video completely. Let me try to move it up just a wee bit. If you can see me now, I'm not sure. But anyway, look, I know I look like a rat, but this is real life, okay? So I wanted to just kind of like talk to you a little bit while I'm making breakfast. Actually, it seems like maybe this might be kind of an interesting breakfast, but for a southern gal like me, it's not odd. Yes, I have my nightgown. This is my grandmother's old-fashioned smocked nightgown. And see how pretty that is? And anyway, I have an apron on. But I wanted to just talk to you guys like in real time. Like, this is how I am in the morning, before I get dressed or whatever, and like make my tea and whatnot. But yeah, potatoes in the oven are, kind of like hash browns and stuff like that. It's a very normal country breakfast. Plus, I try to use these. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's those. Yes, I use kerosene during the day, no electric and stuff, and it cuts down on your electric bill. Plus, it's just fun, and it kind of puts you in that little mood, like, oh, I'm living an old-fashioned lifestyle when you're really not. So you can, half-heartedly play with the idea of that Victorian lifestyle or old-fashioned living, a little bit. So, yeah, I'm probably just going to ramble and talk to you about all kinds of different things. But I wanted to get a video out because I had promised you guys, as well as, I hope that you don't mind while I'm talking to you while I'm doing this, but I wanted to, this is how I do, like, when my kids were at home, and like when Sawyer was here, and I would just say, come sit in the kitchen at the bar stools and talk to me while Mama cooks, And so that's exactly what I wanted to do with you guys, because I think that that's real life, right? Isn't that real life? I mean, how many times do we see these curated videos and stuff? And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Let me just be straight up with you on that one, is that, anyway, what I'm doing is dicing these potatoes. But yeah, like what I was saying is, there's nothing wrong with the curated videos. Obviously, there's nothing wrong at all with them. And would I like to do those? Yes. Would I like to have like a camera person following me around and videoing me while I do this? Because that would be kind of like my own TV show, right? But while I don't have that now, so I'm just trying to make do, because I think it's better to put something out than nothing at all, right? And make excuses for, oh, I didn't do this because, oh, I didn't do that because. When, well and good, we all know I have good excuse for not doing those things. And that has been something that has been on my mind as well, is that, with Sawyer's death and everything, it's really caused me to think, I really want to leave a legacy for my son. And I also want to be able to, always digits in, remember, digits in. I want to leave a legacy for Sawyer, with my storybooks and with different things like that. But it got me to thinking the other day, because I was talking to Jeffrey, my beloved gardener, and I was saying, is this ill repute? Do you remember that episode in Downton Abbey where they were like, what was her name? The redhead cook that cooks on Downton Abbey, and she had the bed and breakfast. What was her name? Oh my gosh, I can't believe Mrs. You guys, help me to think. What was her name? Anyway, she, her bed and breakfast was deemed ill repute. So I don't think that that's the correct word. But what I was saying is this distracting because you can't really see me. But I mean, as soon as I start cooking here, actually I'm not going to cook here. I'm going to put these in the oven, I think. So, but like I was saying, I was talking to my beloved gardener, Jeffrey, last night, and I said, you know, with the death of Sawyer and everything, I had always really wanted to actually be like a speaker, you know, but not in a speaker in the way that's like a motivational speaker, or would I ever desire to like, my oven's ready, or ever would I desire to like be on the road, you know, consistently and like selling out all these shows or not shows, but like workshops and such. But losing Sawyer made me really think that there is a real lack in the community, in our society, basically, of, real quick, because I will remember I've pinned that thought right there, okay, about the transformational speakers. Okay, so I did my potatoes. Then I'm just going to do a little bit of salt and pepper. I use Himalayan pink salt, you know, pink Himalayan salt, because it's much better for you. Listen, let's not forget, I'm always a mermaid at heart, and I try to eat a vegetarian diet. I have gotten to where, you know, because of my health and stuff, I had to start eating a little bit of meat because I think I was really struggling, because I was basically a vegetarian for like 8 or 9 years, but I had to start eating a little bit of meat. I'm saying a lot, but I needed to do that for my health, for health purposes, because I was really depleted and lacking in some things. And so I just sort of tried to line up with the whole fact that what Abraham Hicks talks about as far as lining up vibrationally with food, you know, like if you want to lose weight or you want to like get in shape or whatever, like my approach now is very law of attraction based, and it's vibrationally based and energetically based. And so I don't know if you guys would ever like videos on that. Now I'm going to wash my hands real quick. What I was saying was, and now I'm going to, like, from the garden, I have some rosemary that, you know, we grow in the garden. So here, and so I just always put this a little bit on my potatoes. And that was olive oil, salt, Himalayan salt and pepper. And then I put them in the oven. I put it on 425. 425. See how beautiful that is? Look at that. And it's so simple, so southern. You could eat it for breakfast. You could eat it for, that was obviously in my skillet. You could eat it for dinner. You know, I can keep it, and I'll probably use it for a little bit of our supper this evening. And for Jeffrey and I, and then I'll also, you know, I'll probably have it for lunch or whatever, because, I mean, I love potatoes. That's my favorite food, if you guys know anything about me. And and it's just a real good, healthy, hearty vegetable. I always like to do the red potatoes because those seem to be less starchy and more, you get more nutrition out of them. So, but I had to add a couple of regular Idaho potatoes because I didn't have enough red potatoes. But the other thing that I was going to say about the transformational thing is that, and I'll talk more about it on the video today, but I seem to think, like, after Sawyer's death, that there's been like a real lacking of trying to not teach, but inspire youth to feel that they are worthy and that they are exceptionally perfect, even in this moment, you know, every moment that they're perfect. And it has really gotten me to thinking more so about like being a speaker, and not in the sense that, like I said previous, not that I want to, you know, go on the road and traveling internationally and doing all that kind of thing, but I would really love to have like this very niched out aesthetic, you know, everything's pleasing to the eye, everything would be like really beautiful and very personal. But I would love to be like a transformational speaker. And there's a difference between a motivational speaker and like just, a public speaker compared to a transformational speaker. You have all these different kinds of speakers, and I don't think that there's enough women out there that have had life experience that are, living their dreams or aspiring to their dreams, or just really celebrating that whole aspect of being a woman and feminine like myself, but also being that sense of, there's a little bit of this old-fashioned nature to me. And the reason I say transformational is because, like I said, there's a huge difference between somebody that you go and like you get pumped up and you get motivated, right? And you want to go there because they're going to like stick it to you and maybe make you think about things differently for, the day or whatnot if you attend a workshop, right? But I want to be one of those transformational speakers that like really causes you, the participant, to literally inspire you to change your own life. Because honestly, if you have to use somebody to, motivate you, then you're not really long-term going to change, right? It's going to take a lot more. You might need to go to therapy. Like, I just don't want that to be the kind of speaker that I would be. And the reason that I say speaker is because I feel like with Sawyer's death, there has been such a reception. There's been such a reception as far as the youth that my son inspired. There was so many people that he inspired, and he was so young, and I really recognized like writing this new little fairy tale, which is, it's based on Sawyer, and it's called The Tale of Sawyer Lambie, which is like a cutesy little thing I added to Lamb because I think Lambie is darling and precious, right? But Sawyer had a tattoo of a sheep on him, and he always used to tell me when he was young that he's like, Mama, I'm the black sheep of the family. And I think how often, and so basically what that story is going to be about is a little lamb that's the black sheep in this field of black-nosed sheep. And I want to talk about how this child inspires the world, right? Like he gives up himself for the greater good of all mankind, right? Or all lamb-kind, because it's based, I wanted to do it very Beatrix Potter-ish, right? Now, I'm no Beatrix Potter illustrator. I understand that. But I do think that I have a way of writing that is phenomenal. I really believe that I have a good, a beautiful way of aesthetically creating a story that is lovely in words and things of that nature. And so I really want to use this story, as a way for saying like how many kids, and I know it's a child's book, right? It's a child's book. I'm sitting here talking to you guys like this, but I hope that's okay. It's really a child's book, but I think an adult, because I use, eloquent words. I use words that like you may even as a 47-year-old such as myself might have to look those up and say, let me put the timer on real quick. You may have to look those words up and say, yeah, I don't even know what that word means, because I want to write and not dumb down children's books, because I think too often writers, especially children's authors, are dumbing down books for children when it's actually the children know well more in advance if we would give them more credit, right? But anyway, the whole point of that story is the children's book is to really inspire us to recognize, where we are judging other people and what causes a little lamb to feel like the black sheep. But ultimately, they are the ones that rise above the crowd or rise above the herd, right? To become something extraordinary. when most of the time the black sheeps in the family are projected as these type of outcast, you know? And so I really wanted to highlight on that and make good in a spiritual aspect too, because I really always want to add that law of attraction spiritual nature to it. Because I think, you know, when you're reading a book, you really want to read a book, even if it's a children's book, you want to read a book that is actually going to inspire you to have a thought-provoking desire or reflection upon yourself and your own life to recognize, hey, oh, okay, I learned something from that book, right? It's like very well written and such as that, you know, well written and things. And so that's exactly what I wanted to do with the storybook. Now, mind you, I haven't finished it yet. And, you know, I'm just in the early stages, but I thought that it would also be a fun video to actually have you come along with me, like during my day, you know, because this is the only way I know how to teach. Because, right, I mean, I understand words don't teach, and I can stand in my kitchen and talk to you all day long, right, about different things and stuff, and try to influence you and try to get you to learn and all that kind of stuff. But look, this is my little Lori. Isn't she so cute? And she is the perfect tea kettle I have ever had in my entire life. I love her so much. Now, she doesn't whistle, but the beauty about these Victorian, I'll get back to that, pin that, about the storybook. But the beautiful thing about these is they were made very thin, so it would help them to boil very, very quickly back in the olden days anyway. So I think that that's a lovely little thing. Now, I still use my little Tiavana tea thing here instead of just my teapot. But have you guys ever gotten this? You can buy it like at Walmart or something. It's like Tiavana tea. And this one is called, let's see what this is called, Earl Grey Cream. And it is, I'm telling you guys, this is the same tea that Starbucks uses. This is the same tea that Starbucks uses. So if you ever want to go and spend $5.27 at Walmart, at your Walmart. Now, not all of the Walmarts have them. I will say that if you find the Walmarts that are in the upper scales of neighborhoods, is the only time you're going to find the Tiavana tea. Just a little heads up on that. Okay, so this is not good. Now, what I'm seeing here is, do you guys see how this is leaning? Okay, which caused my thing to go black. But anyway, okay, so I think I fixed it. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, what I want to do is make a cup of tea, but I also wanted to talk to you guys about that, finish talking to you about that book, okay? And this is my tea. Look how pretty. So I bought some flowers, some roses. These are white roses. These are my favorite, and I put them in a little old tea kettle. I never use this. I'll show you this. See this cute little teapot or tea? Yeah, I guess it's a teapot. But it's so tarnished and old. Like I found it at the Goodwill probably 10 years ago or something. And I think my daughter brought it down not long ago. But anyway, I was able to keep this. And since it has like flakes and stuff, and it was only a couple bucks at the store, but I thought it would be cute for a little vase, right? So I keep this little tray, and it has like, you know what, I'll show you guys, because that might be kind of fun to look at, while I'm talking to you. This is my other little tea set. Do you see this, how pretty? This is my sugar, but I hardly ever use sugar. I keep this for here for like if my mother comes to visit or something like that, you know, she'll want a cup of coffee, and I'm a tea drinker, and so she always wants a little sugar in her coffee. But it's pretty, and I set it there too. And so this is the little teapot, and it's just enough for 2 cups. And so I got that at the Goodwill too. I got like a 40-piece set for $9. That's not even counting that I got my discount on it because I think it was like the blue tags that day were 30% off or something, which was extraordinary. So anyway, I wanted to show y'all this too because this I also got at the Goodwill, okay? This was like $1.25, this wooden little tray, and I loved it because it had the handles and it's tiny. And I'll take this always into the, you know, the sitting room or whatever. But I found this and it didn't have anything in it. And I was like, oh, geez, what should I do with that, right? Well, then I go down the aisle of the picture frames and look what I found. I hope you can see that. Now, can you see that? It is a picture of like a, let me see if I can get the lighting off of that. Can you see that? Oh, barely. But anyway, it's got like a little pumpkin and it's a needlepoint, you guys. And so it didn't fit all the way. So what I did is I stuck some old dried flowers on the side so that it would disguise it from not being able to fit. And then I just stick my little thing here, and I like a little fresh flowers every day. I mean, they're kind of looking wilty, but the point was I got those and I got some red roses because it made me think of my dear Sawyer, and I wanted to think about him while I had my little tea in the morning. So see how fast that did that? And then I'll put this in my little Tiavana thing here. Basically what it does is it steeps it, and so what it does is it steeps it for however long, you know, however long you need it, which is 3 to 5 minutes depending. And that tea, I have to admit, you guys, that tea is a 4 diamond. Now, and what I mean by that is the caffeine intent, or the caffeine intake, right? Is that if you look there on the very bottom, you can see that there's these little diamonds there. And when they're all lit up, that means that there's a lot of caffeine in there, right? So what I'll do now is go ahead and put my honey in there. And wait for my tea to get ready. And I think I'm gonna try some creamer in my tea today. But anyway, so what I was saying about the storybook is that, to talk about the storybook is that, yeah, basically I wanted to say that I would love to see some more women that are transformational speakers, because I feel like there's not, I don't know of really any. To be quite honest with you, I can't think of one offhand. I know there's a lot of spirituality, law of attraction speakers, you know, there's a lot of, you know, positivity speakers, motivational speakers. But I really want to make such an impact in allowing other people, especially youth, to recognize that all the power lies within us. And I'll talk more about that today after breakfast and such, because that's going to go and lead into my video. It's going to lead into what I wanted to talk to y'all about and share with you about today about, I said about a lot, I know, but pertaining to this Victorian lifestyle, because lifestyle in general, I wanted to talk about that because I feel like there's so many aspects of it and things that I've pulled, and like from my blog post last night that I posted, I think it was like at 11 p.m. that I posted it. So it's raquelcarter.com. But I think it's called, the title of it is 8 Delightful Ways to Live a Victorian Lifestyle. But I really wanted to go into depth about that. It's not just about the exterior aesthetic of a lifestyle or a Victorian lifestyle or whatever, because like I said, I mean, there's different ways that I want to approach that subject, which I think is very interesting as far as lifestyle in general, and you know, just the different underlinings pertaining to that. I've just been reflecting obviously on a lot of things after Sawyer's death, and so this is just something that I thought would be an interesting topic. I don't know. I think a lot of women are interested in this, And it's not often shared. Like, we don't see this on television. We don't see television shows that are, you know, very positive, spiritually inspiring, and ones that give you hope and fortitude and a sense of positivity and encouragement to proceed forward. Like, I feel like sometimes that media in general has this negative connotation to it, and I learned a lot of that, especially with doing news coverage and stuff for Sawyer's death, and like how a lot of times news coverages want to spin the story to make it salacious, to make it sell headlines, I guess, because we are in a world that is so attracted, and not necessarily attracted because we know that we're doing it, which we are creating our reality, but that we are all so habitual in our thoughts that we have, most of the time, our thoughts are habitual. We wake up and think, oh, I thought that same thing yesterday, so I'm going to keep thinking that same thing today, when we don't necessarily need to do that. Well, we absolutely do not need to do that, but because humans are so because humans lack the focused direction of positive thinking, they therefore have decided as a collective nation or collected society that that's how life is. That's just reality, Raquel. No, actually it doesn't have to be your reality. And that's a lot of what I wanted to talk to you about with the lifestyle thing, is that it's your perception. It's your subjective perception. It doesn't mean like, oh, I'm literally living a Victorian lifestyle, or that includes being a very sheltered, or, you know, setting us back as women 100 years, or all of the negative things. I mean, you can take anything in life and twist it the way that you want it to go. And so just as you can do that negatively, you can also do that positively, which I intend to fully do, especially because I want to create change in this world, you know. And if that's just me doing this little teeny silly old blog video and silly old, you know, hold on, I gotta get a spoon, silly old things, you know, shooting videos about Victorian lifestyle or whatever with my head half cut off. Isn't that hysterical? I'm sitting there talking to you like the headless woman or something. But anyway, so yeah, I think I'm gonna put some of this. Do you guys like creamer in your tea? You know, I have to admit, I had never been someone that liked creamer in my tea, because I kept thinking, oh, that couldn't possibly be delicious. And oh my goodness, it's extraordinary. And it's going to be way too hot for right now, but what I wanted to do is I will turn this off, because even though it's kerosene, I don't want to waste my kerosene, because I don't need that much light in the kitchen when I'm leaving, right? So, but anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about later is I will extend this video after I have my morning breakfast and tea, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you in just a minute, okay? Hello there, how are you guys? I told you that I would come back a little bit. Today I was working out in the garden, and I have this little patio. It's like a Victorian little wrought iron patio set that I should show you guys. I should take you outside and show you, but it is a little black set, but the paint started to chip off, so my next door neighbor offered it to me for free. It has 5 chairs, and it's just a tiny little table, and I don't think you guys have seen this. I was thinking that maybe I had put it in a picture one time, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, so I have been, I went to Home Depot, and I purchased 5 the hammered paint, right? And so so I think I'm gonna try and spray paint that real quick. It's been raining here quite a bit, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to beat painting it before the rain sets in, because then you have to wait for it to dry, and I don't want the storm to ruin the paint job, right? So, but what I wanted to do was close this video out after this morning with breakfast and all of that, and I did, I worked on some more blog posts. And like if pictures were a little off or pictures were blurry, I removed those, and just doing a little bit of fine tuning on my website. And so, because I'm getting ready to have it transferred over from a regular blogger to actually having like a hosting program, which I'm really excited about that. I've had it for a year, and I think I've talked to you guys about this in the post before, in blog posts before, about how gradually doing everything on my own so that I didn't, for one thing, didn't want to pay for it. Secondly, I wanted to be able to actually have like a really pretty website, but I think the navigation and things of that nature will be better for my future in blogging. So let me go ahead. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about that lifestyle, because I'm gonna upload this video on the blog post that I actually wrote, the 8 delightful ways of living a Victorian lifestyle, because there was a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Now, I know people have seen like how I dress sometimes, and they're like, oh, well, you're not necessarily really authentically Victorian. And I understand that. That's never been my object, is to be like absolutely very, very like accurate in that particular era. But I do have that love of the Victorian era. Like if I could do that completely, like with my clothing and my house and my, everything that pertains to me, maybe I might venture into thinking that I could do it, or that I would want to do it. But I think the thing is the whole idea is the subjective viewpoint of how you want to live your life. Like I've said in many videos before, I've said in many blog posts, that I have always loved like that whole gypsy hippie feel. And I love that, like where I would wear my bangles and everything. And I probably should do a post on that, because I think that I don't know that I've necessarily outgrown my bangles, but wanting to talk about them because they seem to be I wore them since I was 15 years old. So I had always worn them and never taken them off. So it became like an identity thing for me. And I was talking to Jeffrey not long ago, because when I met him, I wore the old Victorian clothes, but I was also kind of like I would intertwine that with like photos of wearing my bangles still. Like I didn't want to give those up. And I think what happened was the more that and so many things have happened since Sawyer's passing that have made me like come to a full recognizing of exactly what I was doing certain things in my life for, and how I was having so much resistance in my life, and how everything, it almost seemed to be this curtain fell from me. I'm getting back to the Victorian lifestyle. It's like an all-encompassing vlogging video about that kind of thing. And I think what it was, you guys, is that I had so much resistance about certain things in my belief systems, especially growing up in 2 very strict religions, then to therefore relax and let go of all of those beliefs that I held so strongly for my entire 44 years of life. Now I'm 47 now, but I've been practicing the law of attraction since I was 44, right? Or 43 maybe. And I just have felt this sense of release when Sawyer passed. And however that sounds, I don't know how that sounds to other people, but it's just this whole understanding of what life really is about and where the importance of life lies in each of our lives, because I think too often we get so wound up, so tight, and we just can't see the forest for the trees. Honestly, as cliche as that sounds, we get so caught up in those little mundane, minute things in life. And after Sawyer passed, I just told Jeffrey, I said, I don't care. I care about so many wonderful things. Don't get me wrong. But what I mean by not caring about things is nothing is really serious going on here. If you think about losing a child to murder, right? it puts you, or it put me into such a clarity of recognizing what life is really all about and what is truly important. You know how you always hear those old wise people say, well, those aren't the things that are important. Like, people get so worked up about this, or what car they drive, or what, all these tangible, materialized things. And I think that, not that I don't love those things, it's just basically what it's done is it's put things into perspective for me. And so, and one of those things was living a Victorian lifestyle. And I say living a Victorian lifestyle because that's how I define it. It doesn't mean that I'm accurately living in the Victorian lifestyle, nor could I ever actually do that anyway. But the whole point is this concept of this idealized way that I want to live. Because when I think of the Victorian era, I think of, and I don't know why that is the one. Maybe yours is the 20s. Maybe yours is the Edwardian period. Maybe yours is the Georgian period, or the, pre-Victorian. But I just think what has resonated with me so deeply is that I choose and have chosen over the years to look at the Victorian lifestyle as a sense of beauty, elegance, grace, dignity. Oh, I feel like that's a little sign from heaven, is a little bird cardinal up there in the tree. Anyway, so what I was saying is that I have always felt like I have resonated with that period. I have never seen it like it sets women back, 100 years, or it sets back, literally, but you know what I'm saying, like figuratively as well, like in the 20th century. But I love the idea of it. I think it's beautiful. I think the women were elegant. I think they were graceful. And not that they're not now, but I just love the whole aesthetic of the Victorian era. And so, no, do I actually every day, like, you wouldn't say this, my top is Victorian. Like, I'm working out in the garden today. So, no, I don't accurately have, like, a long A-line skirt that, or I'm not wearing my long Victorian prairie skirt or whatever today. I'm wearing my shorter, eyelet cotton linen that has paint all over it. You've probably seen it in pictures before, but I always wear that. I wear that all the time. That's like my working around the house, kind of like when I'm really getting, into things, or I'm cutting wood, or I'm painting, or whatever. And so, but anyway, my whole point to this is that, no, when I say Victorian era, it's like a mindset. That can be whatever you want it to be. That is my biggest desire, is to create this space, like on my YouTube channel and on my blog and everything that I do in my life, as a way of representing that we as women, and men too, but we as women can create our own lives. We can create a life that we love, create our reality, and we can make it anything we want. And just because I use the word Victorian, or you use the word retro or vintage or whatever, like, it's so subjective, we can decide to do anything we want. And I think that's the thing with the world today and society as a whole, especially with women. And I don't know if it's just, things are ever changing, ever turning, and things are becoming better. We can look at life as, oh, the world's gone to hell, or you can choose to look at life as like everything is ever changing and becoming more beautiful as the days progress. And it's all in our mindset. Once again, I want women to feel like that we can do whatever we want. And that's not in a like, rah, 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 like force and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, it's time to relax. It's time for women just to relax. It's time for women to not feel like or for instance, my situation, not feel like, okay, I shouldn't be going on social. Okay, so this is like a prime example of one of the ways of like living a lifestyle, is that when Sawyer passed, like today is actually a month that my dear darling soul transitioned. And Notice I don't say died, because he didn't die. Like, no one's dying here, okay? Everybody's eternal. So, but anyway, so my whole point is that I, was starting on certain days to like look at doing certain blog posts or going on social media just a little bit or whatever, and it became a little bit intrusive for me, just because there's certain things that I've had to take a step back, like looking at pictures and videos and stuff some days of Sawyer. I can't handle it. I can't handle looking at it. I'm not as aligned that day, maybe. Whatever it is, I'm just not feeling it, and I'm not able to do it without sobbing my eyes out. And I just don't want to go there on that certain day. And so there's some days that I'm just lackadaisical, and I wanted to go on social media, and then I felt like I was being judged in some areas, like, you need to take time away, you need to go inside yourself or whatever and grieve or whatnot. And it's like, once again, I know people are trying to be helpful, but it just because I'm doing that, it's okay for me to do that. And like, how often do we as women allow other people to keep putting us back in the box? Like, stop already. Like, just because you wouldn't maybe go on social media when your son has been murdered doesn't mean that is the same cookie cutter recipe for every freaking person that deals with death. Like, we need to be, ladies, we need to be okay with allowing everyone, and that means everyone, let people off the freaking hook. We don't need to be the spirituality freaking police. We don't need people to say, oh, well, you're not mourning in the proper way that is conducive to how I see you, and therefore you're not doing it correctly. Like, let people off the hook. That means let your freaking mama off the hook. Let your daddy off the hook. Let your husband off the freaking hook. Stop worrying about everyone's business. Mind your own freaking business. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jeffrey's business is not my freaking business. Whatever Jeffrey's doing is not my business, okay? And like, what my brother's doing is not my freaking business, I mean, I have so many people like thinking that my ex-husband, it's not my freaking business. I don't really freaking care. Like, I'm going to say freaking how many times, but it gets me irritated, because it's like, you know what? I shouldn't get irritated, because that just means that I'm allowing other people to, like, I just had to readjust that just right quick. That, I guess, for most importantly, is that what others are doing, how others are grieving, how others are getting angry, how others are dealing with politics, how others are dealing with their marriage, how this particular woman's not leaving her marriage and her husband's a cheater. This lady is totally cheating on her husband. She's having an emotional affair and her husband doesn't know yet. Do you tell him? Do you say, I know what your wife's doing and I'm kind of just giving you a heads up? Like, so many people feel that it is their job let you know or let me know what's going on in my life, or what's going in my ex's life, or what's going on in this or that or whatever. And maybe that's what I'm attracting right now. Maybe, I guess I have to look at that, right? But what I want to do is to say this for you as well, like the viewers, is that we need to be more concerned about our own lives than we do about other people. Like, if I post a comment on Facebook or social media or on my blog or something, I have a right to share my opinion. We live in the United States of America. I'm allowed to believe that, hey, if I'm not sobbing in the corner every single day since my son passed, like, there's days, you guys, that I do feel, I wake up and I'm super happy. And then, and I've even told this to Sawyer, like in talking, like, because I always communicate. Like, the dead are better to communicate with than the living, because they're always in alignment. And, if you are very intuitive and you use those capabilities of communicating with the dearly physically departed, they will talk to you, like they will have carry on conversations with you, but you have to be in alignment. But anyway, I was sharing this with Sawyer today, and I'm like, Sawyer, sometimes I feel guilty that mommy wakes up and I'm super, super happy, and then I feel guilty, and I'm like, I feel guilty because I'm happy, and it's not like there's probably going to be other days, like even last night, like I saw a picture of Sawyer, and it just, I was just so upset, and I just thought, oh, I just really miss him, But I know that this is the thing that I've learned too, is that when we have people that pass in our lives, that the reason that we miss them, and this might be hard for some of you to take, but if you practice the law of attraction and you practice Abraham Hicks' teachings, you know that when you are actually missing the dearly departed, if you're missing an old spouse, if you're missing a child, if you're missing a parent, if you're missing a significant other, if you're missing your spouse, on and on, like etc. point, like etc., right? If you're missing people, that is a clear indication that we are actually missing our own alignment with our inner being. So the source within us, that's what we're actually missing. We're not actually missing that person. We're using that as our object of attention because we are so habitually conditioned to place those particular moments and emotions on a particular person or a particular incident. Is that we are in the absence of missing our inner being and connecting with our source within us. So I hope that helps, because on days that you go, oh, I'm so lonely and I'm missing someone, that you're not really. That just means that you're out of alignment with your inner being. And so when your inner being is focused on something, right? Like say, for instance, I'm focused on Sawyer in a missing or a lacking sense, and I have these emotions that feel terrible inside. What's actually happening is that what God, Source, the universe, and Sawyer collectively as a consciousness are directed their focus on, and what I'm focused on and looking at that same point of direction is not coinciding together. So that just means that Source and Sawyer are looking at one particular thing, and I'm looking at that same particular thing, but because there is an uneasiness within me, that means that I am not seeing it the way Source is seeing it. I'm not seeing it the way that Sawyer is seeing it, because all of they're pure positive energy. So they never, like when you think of God, Source, you think of all your family members and all those people that are so interested in your life. Just because they went away physically, they are never gone. You have to find them. And I spoke about this in my post before about you have to find your dearly departed ones, that are no longer physically here. You have to find them where they are now. You can't look for them in the way that they were when they were on the physical earth, right? You have to look for them in a intangible way. You have to look for them in the way that they now see the universe. And I think what I should do in my next video is I want to share my, near-death experience when I know it was a near-death experience. And this was when I had my first son, Sawyer. See how Sawyer's on my mind. But when I had my first son, Carter, and I was put under when I had him because he was a breech child, so I had a C-section. And then I had VBACs after Carter, which means vaginal births after a C-section. But if you guys didn't know that, I was just clarifying for you. But when I had him, I had this near-death experience, and it was beautiful. And so that tells you 27 years ago that now everything that I practice as the law of attraction was that tells you that even then I knew I was meant for greater things as far as understanding the universe and the keys of the kingdom, basically like universal laws and stuff, in the correct way. And so anyway, like I was saying, I'll go back to the thing about Jeffrey and the bangles, is that I was saying that to him, you know, he was talking to me when we were having like our little date night over the weekend, and he said, you know, I really wish you would put your bangles back on, because that was really what I felt. You know, one thing, I think it's very sexy, you know, he thinks it's very sexy, which I've had a lot of men say that they thought that as well, you know. But it also was the way that when I first met him, that I wore them. And they always signified something for me. And I think that now, after Sawyer's passing, this is another thing that I've recognized about my bangles, is that, you know, I try to do the whole cleansing thing. And you know how, like, I believe that everything carries energy. And so for so long, like, I tried to put them away and I cleansed them, because most of those bangles were given to me from my ex-husband. And so every time I put them on, that energy, which I know it's not the whole, it's still holding, you know, that silver is still holding that energy from that. What's happening is that is actually a tangible thing. And so when we put our beliefs onto something tangible, like my bangles, it creates an emotion which is still there vibrationally. And so if we continually activate a vibration, even though it may be, you know, long past or something like that. I mean, just think about like when death occurs, and if I were to say conjure up these feelings, and if you weren't really over something and you left something undone or unhealed or something in your life, those same things, you can cause that vibrational, energetic emotion to arise again. And it's, you know, once you know that something is so healed and so good within you, you can conjure those thoughts up, but you don't have those emotions attached to it. And that's just because you create a new belief, and you're well on your way to, you know, understanding life in the whole aspect of the way that the law of attraction works, right? But anyway, so I was going back to thinking about these bangles, and I was telling Jeffrey, I said, I don't know what it is, but I couldn't necessarily put my finger on it, because I said, I feel as though every time I put those bangles on, that they used to have this powerful effect on me. Like, literally, they had this powerful effect that I felt like internally that I changed as a woman. I felt powerful. I felt not afraid. I felt very aggressive when I put them on. And the reason is, and then I uncovered, you guys, what actually I was doing and what belief system I had. So this was like a beautiful, wonderful, fabulous, I don't know even what else to say, because I love to use extraordinary, experience for me. And so I really delved deep into that, because I was like, you know, I really want to understand this whole thing about like lifestyle, because I was writing that post and I was thinking about clothing, and I was thinking about like tangible objects and energetically what things do to you or cause you to react or cause whatever, right? And so I was going through all of this, and then Jeffrey and I had that conversation, and I was like, I don't know what it was, but I was just like, I don't want to put them on yet. Like, I'm still not ready to wear them again. Like feeling that I can, the juxtaposition between me being this very ladylike and prim and proper and very direct and very bold and unafraid and fearless and positive, inspirational kind of woman, right? But on the other hand, when I put the bangles on, I feel like I go back into this sense of feeling like it's an exterior thing. The bangles made me feel a certain way on the outside of me. But internally, I go back to that feeling of emotion when my ex-husband, for years, had an issue with me wearing bangles. He would always want me to take them off. He would always say, I don't know why you do that. Are you doing that to get attention? You need to, you know, I'll do this or I'll buy you this if you take those bangles off. Now, it may be in a joking manner when he would say these things, but years upon years of feeling that I'm not accepted for these. And that was the first thing, you guys, that I literally ever said, now, because you want me to take them off so badly, I'm not going to. And now I'm going to collect more. And I'm going to start putting them on this arm because you are not going to tell me what to do and how to be and who to look like and how to wear my hair and what clothes to put on. And so that became this sense of, and that is why I uncovered exactly why I haven't ever left that vibrational energy from those bangles. So even though when I take them off and don't wear them for months and decide one day that I'm going to be like, oh, I want to put those on because I love it and it reminded me of Sawyer, you know, I mean, there was times that like Sawyer even bought me one of those bangles. And I mean, a lot of people have bought me those beautiful silver bangles and they've been gifts and beautiful engravings on them and they're delightful. I just love my bangles. But there's something that vibration kept doing to me, which I now have uncovered. So I don't know if I'll put my bangles back on, but I want to be free to say, I'm not going to have even my dearly, dearly loving soulmate twin flame to say, you should put your bangles back on, for me to feel that I need love or, oh, I want him to find me sexually attractive. You know, I know I'm getting way into a whole freaking, I want to use a cuss word right now, but I don't want somebody to fucking tell me that I need to do this, or if you do this, then that will entice me to think you're more sexually attractive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not at that place anymore in my life. Like, if I felt that was impinging on my character, you know what I mean? Or that it had some dent in my self-worth, you know, I probably would have put the bangles back on and been like, oh, I want him to love me. You know what I mean? But it's like, fuck you. I love myself. Like, hit the road, Jack. Finish the rest. And my dear husband does not deserve that. But that's just my reaction because I'm so used to being on the defense of protecting and making sure that, you know, I am heard and I am seen and I am loved and I want to be famous because of this and I'm going to prove to you this or whatever. Like, how many times, like, I bet you guys, you ladies and gents can relate to me on that manner, because how many times do we want to become famous, or we want to become this, or we want to become that, or we want to be this way, or drive that, or live in this house, or have this particular thing, or date that particular person, because we want to feel worthy. We want to feel important. We want to feel divine. We want to feel perfect. We want to feel accepted and loved and adored, right? I mean, if that's not you, pardon me, but that's been me forever. You know, that was a long time before Sawyer died, that the reason that I wanted to, like, in your face, you know what I mean? I'm going to prove you freaking wrong that I am a good person. And like, once you realize that you are beautiful, you are perfect, you do have self-worth, you don't need to do flip. You don't need to do fluff. You don't need to do a fucking thing, okay? Like, let's just be real. You guys know that I'm real. You don't need to do a fucking thing to gain self-worth. You don't have to drive a certain car. You don't have to have a certain amount of money in your checking account. You don't need to, you know, have etiquette. And oh my, don't use the F word because you're inappropriate. You don't need to do anything for anybody to love you or to have self-worth. You have self-worth just because you were flipping born, okay? Just remember that. Like, I get on a high horse because, like, don't get me on the soapbox. And I guess I have still a lot of energetic vibrations that are not worked out yet, and that's fine. But you guys are coming along with me on this little voyage because I'm going to work through it. I want you to work through it, and let's all do it together. Like, this is a fun thing. Like, this is all we got in life is to figure out this shit. You know what I mean? There's nothing else happening around here that is of extraordinary value, except for the fact that we want to learn how to do this very, very well. We want to figure out how to live and expand in this life really, really well, and do it positively, with joy. Take joy, like Tasha Tudor says. We want to do it with positivity, happiness, contentment, satisfaction, just being overzealous about life. That's my my goal. That's my dream. Anyway, so I thought that that was a beautiful little implementation that I wanted to give to you about the bangles, because I have had so many people, like even people still to this day, and it's been like a couple of years. Like I deleted my Instagram account, and then I started another one under the same name. Like if you guys wanted to follow me, I'm just starting to pick back up. Like I've only been doing it since April, but those are like, I just love those little tiny grids. I can't get away from the fact that those little fun grids, because I'm a very like visual artist. And so obviously, I mean, that sounds kind of stupid, does it not? But it doesn't sound stupid, but what I'm saying is I love the whole prettiness of seeing an Instagram feed. And I think it's beautiful. And so I try to find the beauty in social media, you know, and if social media goes away, if Instagram goes away, you know, I know that there's so much talk and you can hear so many negative things about Instagram or whatever, but I have just found a happy place there, which took me a long time. You guys know that. Like Instagram was like such a big deal for me, but I feel like I've come so far and so full circle in so many aspects of my life. And I mean, darn it that it had to be that Sawyer had to pass, you know? I'm going to start crying. So I want to like refocus my attention, because that's what life is really all about, you guys, is directing our focus and learning how to, regardless of any circumstance or any environment that we're in, any kind of earthly situation that we're in, right? It can be horrific and tragic all around you and what's happening, and the climate, like the social climate, the political climate, all of these different climates. That's the chickens. They always sit and like kind of roost right here in front of the window when they see me, which I think is kind of cute. But anyway, no matter the climate, right, that we have to get to the point where we can focus so greatly and have such focus that nothing can keep us from stepping out of alignment or swimming out of alignment, right? That is the whole purpose of life, is to figure out how to find our bliss no matter what. And so I hope this was inspirational to you. Like I was just saying today, like I was like thinking to myself, how fun would that be? Like, you know how they say, oh, if you haven't ever read the book that you would want to read, or you haven't ever saw the video YouTuber that you've wanted, like you be that, right? You write that book. You create that YouTube channel. And I just thought, like, what do I love so much? Which I love spirituality. You guys know me, but I also love all of my art. And I love, like, I would love to show you guys around, like, seeing the projects that I'm working on today. You know, like, take you out and show you the patio set and, like, this is what I'm going to do to it and how pretty it'll be after I set it up and make a little tea party, you know, sitting at it out in the garden. That kind of thing. I mean, don't you think that would be kind of fun? Or would you think that was totally boring? Like, I want to know what you guys love, because I obviously know that you guys that are really committed to my channel like that I sit here and talk about spiritual things or experiences in my life, right? But I want to expand it, and I want to do like more things, because I think it's so fun to watch these things myself. Like I love these DIY shows, and I'm like, oh, but wouldn't that be fabulous if you added this to it? And what if she had old-fashioned clothes? And oh my gosh, I wear old-fashioned clothes, you know, like wouldn't that be so fun and exciting? It just gets me totally tuned in and turned up, like to get excited about something like that. But anyway, so I will close this video. I just wanted to come back and share with you a little bit of the things that I was thinking about today. And I'm most affably yours until my next swim. Ciao.